Hey my dudes, my name is Cecilia. Welcome to my kitchen. And this week we are making Swedish Princess cake. In the next couple days, I have a kind of big catering. My friend's sister's husband is turning 40 and I said I would make the cakes for the party. And so of course, because we're here in Stockholm, one of those cakes has to be a princess cake. Very traditional for all Swedes to have for, well, any party, but especially on a birthday. And what is a princess cake? Well, if you live under a rock and have not tried one of the best cakes on the entire planet, it is like a white sponge cake kind of business with some vanilla pastry cream, raspberry jam. It doesn't have to have raspberry jam, but all the best versions, including this one, have raspberry jam, as well as a lot of whipped cream, and the whole thing is covered in a layer of green marzipan. And I will take you through every single step. We'll go through it together. This cake originated in like the late 40s, early 50s, and it has been extremely popular since. You can find it in literally every grocery store, every bakery. Everyone has their own slight version of it, but it's a good one. So let's get started. The raspberry jam we are making today is as simple as it can be. Especially simple because we are not going to be preserving it. We're just going to be using it a little bit later for a cake. So we don't really care about jarring it or anything like that. We're just looking for great taste and great consistency. 3 ingredients, that's it. You have your raspberries, sugar, and lemon to taste. It is not the season for raspberries, so I'm using frozen ones. Frozen are always going to be better when you're out of season because they're frozen at the peak of season. If I were to use raspberries from the grocery store here in Sweden in November, they would taste like nothing. So frozen raspberries it is. Everything goes into a pot, and well, not the lemon. The raspberries and the sugar go into a pot. You bring it up to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and start cooking. So now I think our jam is about done. So I have gotten this plate, which I put in the freezer, and we're just going to take a little bit of our jam here, just a teeny bit. And the plate is frozen, so it cools really quickly, and we will see if our jam is at the right consistency. This is my favorite way of testing to see if a jam is done. I often have a hard time taking my jams up to 103, depending on the size of the batch. It could be at 103 degrees Celsius and still be too loose. And then if it's a really small batch, it can be at 103, but like almost be burnt. I don't know, it's been really inconsistent for me, which is strange because the temperature should really like be the most consistent way. I just like doing a jam test. I think it makes everything easier. Okay, so you go like this, and it's holding that line. Do you see how it's like, I mean, it's drooping a tiny bit, but it's not like running down. That means that it's where I want it to be. This is where I want my jam to be. It's not gonna be too hard. It's not gonna be too gloopy and soft. This is perfect. Now I just have to season this with lemon juice, and our jam is done. And now we're just going to add a little bit of lemon. Helps perk up the flavors. Also, a little bit of acid will help the pectin set that's in the jam. Now I'm all lemony. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't have any cuts though. This is the #1 way to find out, and I don't have any, so that's fun. Love that. Always, always, always taste everything, all the time. Taste, taste, taste. Taste, taste, taste. I cannot begin to tell you how many times that has been screamed in my face. I like a fairly bright and acidic jam personally. And you use the other end of the spoon because I licked the first half. Boom, there we go. That's what I want. And again, remember, because this isn't going to be preserved in any way, it's just for the cake. I'm just gonna pop it in some Tupperware, let it cool, and once it's cooled off, then we can use it for our cake. Our next filling is our vanilla pastry cream. Dead simple. You have sugar, cornstarch, butter, egg yolks, milk, and of course your vanilla. Step number 1, milk goes into our pot. Boop, boop. And then we are going to scrape our vanilla bean here. Scrape your seeds in, but we're also gonna throw the whole thing in there. Scrapey, scrapey. There we go, there we go. This goes on the stove and we wanna start to bring it to a simmer. While that is coming up in temperature, we are taking our sugar, cornstarch, plop it in, and our egg yolks. Also ploppy ploppy, and mix. You don't want to do this too far ahead of time because the sugar will like cook the egg yolks. So now that everything is coming up in temperature, we're fine, we're chilling, but just so you know, don't like do it super, super far ahead of time. No, you can't prep this in like half an hour and then go do something else. It doesn't work like that. Our milk is now at a simmer. We do not want this to overboil. And we have our egg mixture all mixed up here. So I just put a towel down so it doesn't go around, so like it's easier here. Wow, I'm really left-handed. Sorry guys, this makes it very difficult for me. We're gonna temper in our milk, our hot milk, into our egg mixture. And you wanna stir as quickly as possible because you don't want any of the egg to like cook. Okay. Oh wow, I'm so left-handed. Okay, all right, we're doing it. We're gonna turn this guy on and we wanna go on a medium-high heat. So that for me is about a 7. And you need to be stirring continuously. And you'll see as it gets hotter, we basically wanna bring it up to a boil and it will eventually boil and will thicken. We're trying to activate the cornstarch here mostly. And of course, the egg is going to thicken it as well. So now we can see that it's starting to get a little thicker. Aw, yeah, this is what we're talking about. Okay, and now comes the hard part. You gotta stir like crazy so it doesn't scorch on the bottom and try not to burn yourself. And you need to do this. I always like to do this for about a good minute, just so I know that my cornstarch is really cooked out. Also, this is one of the reasons I started to get carpal tunnel. So that's fun. We're gonna turn this off. We are going to taste test to make sure. Good. What I'm looking for is I'm putting it like up against the roof of my mouth so that it doesn't feel floury. It's like totally, the cornstarch is like bloomed in your mouth, we say. So this has come directly off the stove. It is very hot. We have finished our taste test. We know it's ready to go. I like to use the same old bowl because I don't like to do dishes. Your strainer, you're going to take your butter, plop it in there. Whiskey, whiskey, and we strain. This is to get out any lumps of eggs, your whole vanilla bean. And I can tell by straining this that I like didn't curdle these eggs. Always a miracle. We love that. And yeah, this looks exactly how it's supposed to look. It's thick, it's not floury, there's no egg bits, it's just gorgeous. We're gonna cover this in plastic wrap and wait until it is 100% cool. We're gonna move on to our cake bottom now. So our last element that we're working on is, of course, our cake. This cake is very light, very fluffy, really not a dense crumb at all. We have our eggs and egg yolk, sugar, flour, melted butter, and I have a little bit of extra melted butter here to brush around our cake tin. Just so obviously no cake sticks. That is ready. My oven is on. It is at 175 degrees Celsius, no fan. Eggs, sugar goes in here. Don't forget your whisk, which I conveniently forgot. Take your whisk, whisk it all together. And now we're gonna set it over a water bath, and we wanna take this whole thing up to 55 degrees Celsius. As soon as we're at 55 degrees, pop it on the machine, super, super quick, fast, fast, fast. On with our whisk attachment, and we're whisking. All right, so now I think this is basically done. It's, oh yeah, look how light and fluffy that is. Amazing. This is gorgeous. This is exactly what we're looking for. It's still pretty soft, but like, because it has like the fat from the egg yolks and the egg, this is about as good as it's gonna get, but it's like, amazing. This is what we want. Okay, so now, going to sift our flour onto here. This is a great time to have a friend help you. If you don't have friends, then you just sift a little bit at a time, like this. And we're folding, and we're gonna fold super gently. And a little bit more flour. And this flour, it needs to be sifted. This is all about keeping the cake light and airy and happy. All of the, not life, but the air, the lift in the cake comes from this like floofy egg and sugar mixture. So you really want to be gentle when you're mixing and not knock it out. There's no, you know, baking soda, baking powder, yeast, anything that's going to give it lift. All the lift comes from the air that we've just worked in. So don't knock it out. Okay. And now basically all the flour's in, and we're going to add in a little bit of butter at a time. Again, what a great situation to have a friend or partner slowly, slowly, slowly stream in the butter for you, but I have neither of those things. So as I am by myself, I just do it a little bit at a time. And we are also checking to make sure that there's no like streaks of butter or streaks of flour or anything. Wow, this is really gorgeous. I mean, just look how like gorgeous that batter is. It's so light and fluffy and happy and pretty and all the good things. All the good things. All right, now going to take our pan that we have buttered, throw our mix in. I found a butter streak. Okay, cool. So we're stopping, we're incorporating. Keep going here. Alrighty. And I'm just kind of very gently making sure that the top is flat-ish. There we go. All right, there we go. Into the oven it goes. And this should take 20 minutes at 175. We'll see. We'll see what my oven says to me. It has been exactly 20 minutes, so I was correct. Love that for me. And I think our cakes are done. Or just the one cake. I don't know why I said cakes, plural. But this is like, look how beautiful this is. It doesn't feel soft. It feels nice and spongy, but trusty toothpick test, as always. Clean and beautiful. Gorgeous. And now this just has to cool. Now, if you don't want to make your cake today, once this is 100% cool, you can wrap it in some plastic wrap and either freeze it. Well, it will freeze for a good long time. No problem about that. Or you can, you know, save it for the next day or whatever. It can probably sit on the counter for a day or two, no problem. But again, totally cool, wrapped in plastic wrap. It is now time to put together our princess cake. We have our cake base, the raspberry jam, and the pastry cream. We did all of this yesterday so that everything had time to set and cool, and we had lots of time today. So this can go over here. We're going to start with our pastry cream, which is now just this like thick blob here. And we are going to whip it up. This does take a minute, so, because it's roll thick like. Okay, yeah, just kidding, I'm giving up now. Why? I decided, I thought it wasn't going to be, like I thought, Jesus Christ. I thought it would be more effort to clean the bowl, but this is 100% more effort to do it by hand. Like, it's literally breaking my whisk. It's so thick right now. So we're just gonna do it in the machine. All right, good enough. We love good enough. Woo! Oh boy, okay. This can go to the side. And we can just plop it back in the same bowl because we're gonna use that later. Oh, actually we're gonna change bowls because we are gonna need it in a bigger bowl later. All right, so half the amount goes in this bowl. And then the other half is going to go in a piping bag. Alrighty. And we're scraping. Okay, perfect. Now our pastry cream is ready. And now we get to whip the cream. So now we are going to whip our cream. And I'm using quite a lot. I'm using probably 4 deciliters of cream. And we're going to whip it until it gets to, until it's fairly stiff. You'll see. So I've taken my whipped cream pretty far. I would definitely call this like a stiff peak. But you never want to take it all the way in the machine because it doesn't give you the correct amount of control. You always want to do that last little bit by hand. This is pretty good though for our purposes. So what we're going to do now, let's see, what else do we need here? We also have our raspberry jam. Just gonna fluff it up a little bit here. Oh, this is so perfect. This is exactly the texture I want it to be at. Love it. So when making this cake, it feels like there's a lot of elements and a lot of things going on, but there's really not. Oftentimes in the kitchen, or especially with baking, you kind of gotta, it's like a black hole, right? Like everything has to go, like it's gonna spread out, and there's all these things, and there's all these different moving parts, and then it all comes together into one thing. So bear with me as we kind of go like with all of this cake and like all these moving parts and pieces and all of these things, and then it's gonna come together into a beautiful princess cake. So we have, cake is here, raspberry jam is here. We've whipped our cream. We have some pastry cream here. We have some pastry cream here. We are going to take and do, I would say, probably 50-50 pastry cream and whipped cream in this bowl. All right, gorgeous. Cake base, unplastic it. Don't need the plastic anymore. Get rid of that. Now we're going to cut it into 3 even layers. Oftentimes at bakeries, they have these really cool like slicey machine. It's not a machine. Slicey guys, and it cuts really straight. I'm just gonna do it by eye and hope that I, after 10 years in the industry, kind of sort of know how to cut a cake, but we'll see, who knows. This is weirdly not my strong suit. Okay. And there is tricks. Okay, I'm not gonna talk while I do this, I have to focus. Fortuitously for me, I am just so awesome. Good job, Cecilia. Beautiful. Okay, now our cake is cut into 3 different places, or 3 different pieces. Layer number 1. You're gonna take the top piece and you are going to make sure that it's colored side up. Pop on some raspberry jam and spread it out. You wanna get most of the way to the edges, and I like quite a bit of raspberry jam because this is where all of the acid and like, yeah, this is the only part of the cake that has any sort of freshness or acid or anything. Now, also very important, this bottom piece here that is also colored now goes on top. Why do we do this? Super fun. because now when you cut into the cake, it looks like the color comes from the raspberry jam and not from the top or the bottom or anything. We love that. It's so smart. All right, pastry cream. Cut a hole, don't get the plastic in there. And we're just going to, now you could of course not put this in a piping bag, but I just like to put it in a piping bag because it gives me so much more control and this whole business is gonna go just a little bit faster. Again, we're not gonna go all the way out to the edges. We're just gonna go most of the way. And we take our offset that is already covered in pastry cream. Next step. We are taking our whipped cream and pastry cream mixture, and this is where the dome comes in, and you're just gonna plop it directly on the pastry cream. And you want it to be quite high and quite dome-like. And now we're taking this guy again, and we're going out to the edge, but again, not all the way to the edge. Look how gorgeous that is. We love to see it. All right, that is about as dome-like and even as I think I'm gonna make it today. Cool, great. Now, we have this piece, which was our middle piece. It often ends up being the thinnest, and because it doesn't have a crust on either side, it's also the most flexible. That's why you wanna put it over the top. And we put it over the top, and we just very gently press it in like this. I love when it looks like I know what I'm doing, right? Like you would think that after, again, 10 years in this industry that I would have any sort of self-confidence. But honestly, every time I do something and it works out like even a little bit, it's like Christmas Day. I'm so excited. It's like, who knew? I can bake. Oh my God, what? That's crazy. Okay, now, time for the whipped cream covering. Now, why do we use regular whipped cream that's unflavored, no sugar? Wouldn't it be more fun with a little bit of vanilla cream or something on here? No, it would not be. It doesn't, you need to not have sugar in the whipped cream that's gonna surround the cake because the sugar, if you put it in there, will melt the marzipan topping. That's also why we don't want anything that contains sugar to go around on the outside here. It's super important that you just have this like whipped cream layer that's just made of milk proteins and fat and whatever. It like seals the whole thing in and it causes the marzipan to not melt. Yeah. Okay, cream time. And I'm checking that this is a very nice stiff whip. It is. We do that so it doesn't get all gloopy and drippy and everything. Okay, now, where is my big boy? It's here, going around. This is the part where we get a little messy, and it was really important that that cleaning of the table I did was important so that we don't get a bunch of crumbs in our whipped cream here. Honestly, could I have taken this whipped cream a little bit less whipped? Yes, just because I'm going around it so much now. It's getting a little bit, a very stiff, what I like to call a grandma whip. You know, like your grandma always takes it to where it's about to split because she thinks that's what whipped cream is. So yeah. Do as I say, not as I do. Important. Okay, great. Now, here's the part that gets a little scary. We want to take away as much cream as possible from around the edges here, and the easiest way to do that is for us to move our cake. Because I'm at home, do not have a like cardboard cake base underneath here. And in most bakeries, you wouldn't have, at least the ones that I've worked at, you wouldn't have the cake base on here right now anyways, because the cake isn't finished. So this is, again, where we trust in our own skills, talents, and pastry educations, which is what I'm giving to you now. So trust, okay? We go under with the offset, and we bring it up, and you slip your hand underneath, and we're slipping our hand underneath, and we're using the offset. We're being very gentle and we're moving the cake and off. It's like I know what I'm doing. Who would have thunk it? Amazing. Okay. And we're getting rid of this cream and it's all crumbly and it's gross. And I'm washing my hands because I hate it when my hands are dirty. Okay, now marzipan time. Okay, so again, I'm at home. I'm not at a bakery. In bakeries, they get these like giant, like 3 kilo, 5 kilo, whatever blocks of marzipan that they then roll out and you can use it for like a million cakes. I have bought the home version. Don't really quite know what to tell you people in America because I've never tried to make a princess cake in America, but in Sweden, we can get these guys and they're good enough. I got this from my local grocery store. And it just says, you know, marzipan lock, which just means like a marzipan lid, and it's already colored, and it should be good enough. This one seems pretty good. It doesn't seem to be cracking or anything, which we like. If you start to see any cracks or anything, you're gonna need to get some water out and like hydrate it. You know what? I'm not super happy with this actually. So how do we fix it when you're not super happy with it, right? Because it doesn't, I don't think it's going to cover it. And then I'm gonna have this line of whipped cream around it. Don't worry guys, I have thought about this eventuality and I have 2 more. So we're going to combine them to make a bigger cake topping. See? Even when I mess up, I'm smart. We're gonna put a little bit of powdered sugar down below. Now, while I was talking to my friend who is behind the camera right now, she was like, why is it that this powdered sugar doesn't cause the marzipan to melt on the cake? And the answer to that is, I don't know. It just, did they use powdered sugar or did we use cornstarch? We used cornstarch. That's the answer. That's why. What a journey we're on together. Okay, cornstarch. Beautiful. We just want the tiniest little bit on here. Which this isn't that tiny, but it will get absorbed. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna take these two and we're just gonna stick them together. And then we're going to roll them out to the same thickness. So hopefully it should be double the size, right? Because that's how math works. All right. A little bit of cornstarch over the top there. See, it gets absorbed really nicely and easily in there. All right, my dudes, I think we are basically there. Lord help us. And we're back. Alrighty, so take this guy. Moment of truth here. Oh my God, it's like I know what I'm doing. Holy guacamole. Sometimes, y'all, I've got my pastry card and now we are smoothing. So we've smoothed and we've smoothed, and I think this is as good as it's going to get today. I'm really happy with this. I honestly haven't made a princess cake in 5 years, something like that. So we're gonna call this good enough for today. And then we're just gonna go around and take off the excess here. Maybe we cut a little bit closer. Yeah, all right. There we go, there we go. Oh my goodness. Happiness abounds. And now it is time to transfer it to our cake stand here. So same way we transferred before. Choose a spot that you think is gonna be the back. I actually think that this part that is the back here is what I think is like not the nicest part of the cake. And we're lifting. And now we get to decorate it. So we are now going to make some little decorations for this cake. I've never liked this like raw edge that it has. So I'm gonna make like a ribbon looking thing. I got another marzipan lid, this time in pink. We're gonna make the rose for this, traditional, and also a little band that goes around it, just because I think that might be cute. So what we're gonna do first and foremost is, I don't need this part over here. Use that for the rose, and we're just gonna go, both sides are a little cornstarchy, that's okay. Actually, let's put some water on here so that it like sticks together. So we're just putting the teeniest, tiniest bit of water on here so that the sides get sticky, so that they stick together. Not much at all. Just gonna brush it on there like that. Watch out for any little hairs because you bought a really, really terrible pastry brush at the grocery store. Okay. Let's see if this is long enough. I know that it's not, but we're gonna make it twerk. And I'm using the back side of my knife so I don't completely mess up my marble here. Let's see how we do. Alrighty. Cute. Cute. And a little piece in the back here. How does that look? Oh, that's cute. I think it's cute. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our water again. And we're just going to go, we're going to be so gentle here. We're going to be so gentle. Hold on now a second. We're going to go boop, 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 boop. I'm going to paint a little bit here, being so gentle. We are the most gentle. The last thing we have to do for this cake is make our marzipan rose to go on top. There are like, 100 ways to skin a cat. This is how I was taught. I don't actually know any other way, but it makes a cute little rose anyways, so that's what we're gonna do today. I took the rest of my pink marzipan and I just made it into a little ball here. It doesn't really matter. And you're just gonna start taking off little balls like this. And you want quite a number of them. I don't know, maybe like 10 to start with. And you want them all to be roughly the same size. You just take your little balls here and you squish them out into petals like this. I've made 12 little balls. I don't know if I need 12. I might need more, I might need less. We shall see. So now we are going to just put our little rose here together. I like to start with one of the smaller ones and you just kind of curl it up like this from the bottom. You want it to look a little bit like that, maybe. And then you just start adding petals one at a time and kind of push them out while you're doing it. And you want them to overlap like on the seams so it looks more natural. All right, there you go. I did end up using all 12. Just kind of like to pinch them. I think it helps them look a little bit, yeah, more organic or something. Take this bottom here and you just cut it off because we don't need it, like that. And re-squish. And there we go, we're done. And now we just have to finish off our cake. We are almost done, y'all, so close. So now I'm gonna put just a little bit of powdered sugar over the top. And my friend who is behind the camera once again asked me, but what? Didn't we just have a whole conversation about cornstarch and powdered sugar? And look, I don't know what kind of like science we're talking about here. All I know is that powdered sugar goes on top and it works, okay? So that's all I know. Just trust me, okay? Just believe. Beautiful. And then I like to take the end of this guy and you just make a nice little impression here. Like that, okay? Now it's got a nice little belly button, and you just pop your rose in there. Look how cute that is. Oh my God, I'm actually really impressed with myself. For real, y'all, I have not made a princess cake in like 5 years. I haven't made a princess cake in 5 years, and like, that's pretty good. We went on an adventure together, but we got there. See, you trust the process, have faith. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And now there's nothing to do but to eat it. The first piece is always a little funky monkey, but that's okay. That's what happens. Look at all that cream, y'all. Oh, Lord. Oh my God, I love whipped cream so much. I'm amazing. Oh my God. Truly the princess of cakes. See what I did there? Wow, this is lovely, actually. The only critique I could give myself is that the vanilla bean, the vanilla pastry cream and whipped cream, both of them together could have been whipped just the tiniest bit harder. This texturally in my mouth is ridiculously perfect. Like, this is what I like eating wise, but as you can see when I cut this piece, it's a little difficult to like serve. If it had been just a tiny bit harder, then it would have still been really amazing to eat, but not as difficult to cut open. So I'm gonna give my execution of this today like a 9.5 out of 10, which is still pretty good, so. All right, guys, and that's it for this week's cake, our princess cake. If you have any thoughts, feelings, opinions, whatever, please comment down below. And as every YouTuber in the universe says, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will be back next week. Heedle! Lord have mercy upon my soul. Oh, this is why I moved to Sweden. That and Swedish men, but mostly princess cake, but also Swedish men.